All right, guys. So we're live. We're actually live. So of course I'm Rick. This is Mike. Super happy to have Mike on the channel. Uh,
Yes.
we had a late night conversation, and Mike was like, I was asking him about YouTube. Everyone knows that I'm trying to get into YouTube, and Mike was like, "Go for it." I was like, "Cool, man. You want to join?" So this is literally how this came together. So I'm so grateful to have Mike. Like seriously, so grateful to have you, brother. And I'm really excited. And I kind of just want to do this as it's very impromptu, but just as far as talking subjects, like I really want to just talk about some of the stuff we've talked about, like really bringing people up to speed on what you've been doing, what I've been doing, and really letting people know that like we have like this amazing stuff going on that like I do your flow workouts, right? And so I've been telling people about them and they've been using them, and it's just amazing how it changes somebody's perspective, right? And so I don't know where this conversation will start or where it will end, but I just wanted to start with that. Mike, of course, go ahead with the introduction. You're far better at this than I am.
Oh, you're doing great, bro.
Trusty husky.
Well, like what Rick said, we were having a conversation just maybe 12 hours ago, and just catching up. And he told me about his YouTube channel, and I was like, oh man, let's jump on, let's do it live. Forget the edits. Let's just go on there, share with the audience, chit chat. I mean, him and I, we talked for like hours. I was like, oh man, if we just grab the bit of what we chatted about and drop it onto a video to share with people, be gold. I mean, that was like an hour's conversation just 12 hours ago. So one of the things we were talking about is how to be able to feel good when we are going through life. How to be able to. Did you hear that? Oh, it's echo.
Oh no, sorry, that was my fault. I was just making sure we were actually live. Sorry, first time, guys. Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But how to be able to to feel good and to be able to do the things that we want to do. There could be a lot of entrepreneurs that are listening. There could be a lot of people that are working hard, that are wanting to go and get ahead. And what I find that is one of the biggest challenges is not so much of what people think, like, what do I do? What do I do? What are the 1, 2, 3 steps to go ahead and become successful? There's no shortcuts, and you're just going to have to go ahead and go through trial and error. If you talk to anybody that's been successful, that's just how it is. Yeah, you can go ahead and learn and have a coach here and there, but it doesn't mean you're not going to fail. You're still going to have to do the work. But what I find that stops people, that really hurts their productivity and their performance, is their stress, is their mental health. It's the emotional roller coaster that we all go through. And this was something that was a big struggle of mine that I dealt with for so many years. And finally, I got fed up with it. And I realized that my happiness and feeling good was just more important than trying to go and reach to try to become a little more successful or reach another goal. And while I see my health and while I see my mental capacity just crumpling away, and yet there's all these opportunities in front of me. And at some point, I just had to choose and go, you know what? Forget all of that. I actually care. It's more about how I feel about my life. Forget about trying to go ahead and accomplish more things. I need to take care of what's actually important, because everything else in my life is crumpling away because I'm not feeling good.
Like you gotta clean your house. You gotta clean the house, and just cleaning the house will clean everything else up. Like when you can come home to a clean house, like that's for me. A lot of people don't realize, like, apart from having Siberian Huskies, which I know you're familiar with, like it's like coming home to a Siberian Husky is a little bit of it's a different thing, right? So like keeping a clean home is so important to me, and it's kind of like keeping your house clean in a way. Is that fair?
Yeah. Well,
Like
keeping the house clean.
keeping the inside, the thing that's closest to you, clean and pure, and then the rest will resonate. Kind of idea, right?
It cleans your mind.
Yeah.
Cleans your mind. It cleans your mind and cleans the energy, because when we have a lot of stuff around in the room, it the energy becomes stagnant.
Yeah.
We want to feel like strong, and we want to feel alive, and so our energy has to be able to expand. We want to have our mind clear so we can focus on what we want to do. But when we have all this stuff around and we are looking at it, our mind is like picking up on everything, and suddenly there's like 15 things on our mind that we don't care to have, but simply because we're looking at it because it's in the room. So yeah, it's a good one. Just some of the simplest things. Clean up your desk, clean up your room, clean up your workspace, clean up your car. If you get into your car, you drive to work, clean up your car. You don't want to sit in that car for 30 minutes.
No one wants to in a dirty car. No one wants to do that ever. Never.
Yeah.
It's so real. And it's so cool because I feel like I've been keeping all this to myself because I've been talking to you for so long, Mike. I mean, we go back years and years, but everything that you've ever said has definitely manifested itself, right? So it may not have happened that night or that next day, but everything that you told me or prepared me for, even the flow workout, when you sent me the 30-minute flow workout, I went to the video, I'm like, it's only got like 5 views. And I'm like, I've watched it 5 times. And then I realized it was private. And I was like, Mike, is this private for a reason? He's like, dude, I made that for you, bro. I'm like, whoa, like really? You made it for me? And I think a few other people, because I noticed it got into the hundreds. I'm like, it hasn't been that long. But, it's so cool because we've gone through this like roadmap where when I came to you initially, it was very much just like, how are you doing, bro? Like, what's going on? And then as we got deeper and deeper into things and M Life and some things happened. And but then when you started the flow workouts, it was something that like I really needed to see and experience. And I still, if worse comes to worse, I still do my 7-minute, which is funny because the YouTube video is actually 8 minutes, but I think it's the intro and the outro, and I'm learning about that as I'm getting my channel going. But it's like there's no excuses for 7 minutes, right, of your time, and you get a little bit of exercise, a little bit of like body movement, you get the actual breathing exercise, and then you get a little bit of meditation. Like even in 7 minutes, it still works for people. And so it's so exciting, and it's so like along the lines of the things that I try to do as an aspiring entrepreneur, to share this information with people. And so even the 7-minute workout, you have no excuses, right?
And when people wake up in the morning time, they think just because I'm awake, that means my energy is activated. That means my mind is online and clear. No, it's not. It's not. It's like you start a car and now you expect that car to be performing at 100%. If you got a brand new car and you've been taking care of it like crazy, yeah, great. Just like if you're a kid and you haven't been through the ropes, you're a child, you wake up, you see how kids are. They fall, they bump into things, they get right back up, they're laughing. Yeah, but when you become 20 years old and 30 years old and 40 years, you don't wake up and just everything is great. No, it doesn't work that way. All right, you gotta go and wake up your body's energy, because your body energy is still asleep and it needs to be activated. You got to activate your mind. If not, what happens? Somebody is waking up and they need to go ahead and start working. They need to start getting things up and going, but their body's not ready yet. Their energy is really low. How many times people wake up and they still are trying to drag themselves up and they're waiting for a cup of coffee, and that cup of coffee is not really waking them up. It's just kind of giving them a little notch, and it takes them like hours into work to finally get in the groove.
Yeah.
But it's like, and the same thing with their mind. And what I realized is like you talked about the 7-minute, we just need to wake up the body's energy. So this way the body's energy can also give us the energy that we need, and also our mind becomes more clear. So this way we're able to focus and have clarity. It's a really simple thing. It's not just about working out to look good. That's just a byproduct.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to function.
I do. So I mean, coming from you, that means something.
A lot of people are looking for performance. A lot of people are looking to get ahead. And it's, everybody knows that our mind has to be functioning. We have to be sharp. We got to have the energy. But what are people doing to get it? You know?
I even found out for myself, Mike, like just staying hydrated. Like most people don't realize they're dehydrated. Like, and that's like the most basic principle, of course. Like it's like hydration, right? Your body is what, 70 something percent. I'm not a scientist, doctor, not trying to be one, but like hydration, like you don't even think about it. Like for me, when I wake up, I'm ready to like attack the world. But then I look at my beautiful husky and I'm like, oh, I got to take him out. Like, so I have a routine that's based on kind of like obvious things like, oh, my dog is right there and I got to take him out. And then, you know, he does his thing and I, you know, do my thing behind him. I basically work for him. You know, he's my employer. I'm his employee. That's how it feels in the mornings. And I realized like my daily routine takes an hour just to clean up, you know, like just like basic stuff. Like, okay, like last night I made lasagna and there's a little, you know, I just did, you know, that way I don't have a massive cleanup, right? So I just touching up stuff, making sure the pillows are arranged, refolding the blankets if I laid on the couch, like making sure your bed is made, taking a shower, like all these things. Like it's about a good hour, right, of things that I have to do. And so what I've done for myself is make sure that if I'm going to start work at 8 o'clock, I'm up by 7 because that gives me my time to kind of wake up, take the dog for a comfortable walk, not rush him. I'm not rushing myself. And then I get back in, I do my daily routine. And it's interesting because you don't think about like a routine like that. And so the 7-minute workout, it can comfortably fit in that 1 hour time slot that I have. Everyone has their own time slot, right? And so, but for me personally, the 7-minute is like a no-brainer, but of course I'm, as everyone should, working towards the 30-minute every day again, because I did that every day for about a week, and we did WhatsApp, and now I'm getting back on it. It's the new year, new resolutions, new goals, but I'm not at the hour level. Like I have bigger goals after that. Like I'd love to be able to do the hour consistently, and everyone's like, Rick, you have the time, man. Just make the time. And it's hard to make the time. Like it's hard mentally to change what you already do every day. And like, even for me, like making YouTube videos or producing this or doing that, this is completely new for me. And so I typically I call it my night and weekend job. I do it in the evenings and I do it at night, but then I'm up to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, like just editing logos and stupid stuff that like I can hire someone to do, but I want to do it myself. I want to learn everything myself. I don't want to edit videos for the rest of my life, but I want to know how to edit videos. That way, when I'm getting charged X amount of whatever dollars, that I understand the process and I understand what's going into it, just so I'm more educated on the process.
But we'll touch about what you said about the morning routine. I think it's really important. It's really important to have one. And the fact that you wake up in the morning and you clean up the house. You clean up the house, you make your bed, you take your dog for a walk, that's a routine itself. And that's like basically saying, it's like, okay, whatever happened last night doesn't matter. I'm wiping all clean. It's a fresh start.
Yep.
And, and also on a side note, it's like, yes, that 7-minute does fit really nicely in it, but also the fact that you're cleaning up and you're getting everything prepped, like that in itself is activity.
Yeah.
A lot of people just waking up and after they take a shower, they just walk over to a desk or walk into a car. It's like they're not actually doing anything physical,
Yep.
So even that itself, getting your body moving, it's really good. But having that routine, I was having a conversation with a friend, and he reminded me the importance of having a routine versus goals. And that's something I think is so, it's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, which is most people, they look at life and they go, I'm gonna have this goal, and whatever this goal is, here's the specifics of it, and then I'm gonna reach this goal. And so they look at it as, okay, now whatever it takes to reach this goal. So when they look at it in that way, what happens is they're not structuring how their day is going to go. They're just looking at like whatever it takes. Like I'm going to wake up in the morning time and whatever it takes, I'm going to go and accomplish this, and everything is about this.
Yeah, it's so scheduled. Yeah.
But what I find is that when that happens,
Yeah.
there's like this feeling of unaccomplishment, lack of fulfillment until this goal is reached. So you imagine this goal was just one task. Let's say it was just one task, and somebody wakes up, they knock it out, and they're done. They're like, "All right, I feel great." But what if this goal takes a week? Then every single day, as they're doing this goal, it's like, "Wow, I'm there. I'm getting a little farther. Okay, but I don't feel good about it until it's done."
Yeah.
Right. And how many people have experienced that? So
Yeah.
now we look at this goal and we say this goal is going to take a month. So now the same thing happens, right? Day one, it's like, okay, I'm chipping away at it, but there's a sense of incompleteness.
Absolutely. Yep.
And so we know that incompleteness doesn't feel good. Nobody likes to feel incomplete. This is what keeps people up at night.
It's internally incomplete, but the rest of the world may look at you and say it's complete. And that's so a funny example, if you don't mind, Mike. An example is my spice client, right? And he might be one of the 4 or 5 people watching us right now. So if Peter's out there, shout out to Peter. He's like one of the coolest guys I've ever met. He was written up in the New York Times, The Journey of the Aleppo Pepper. And I mean, you can talk to this guy about anything political or the world news. I mean, he's like really big into like finding the best spices. Like I've never met someone that like they love what they do. Like when people say like, "Oh, what are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "I'm working," and they're like, "Oh man, you know, well you'll be fine when you get off." I'm like, no, like I look forward to working. Like over the holidays, I reached out to my people and I said, "Merry Christmas. Can't wait to work again." And they're like, "You're crazy, Rick. Enjoy it. Take the time." I actually look forward to work. That might just be me, but I enjoy what I do. And so I'm so passionate about it. And I met Peter and we started an awesome relationship. He actually came as a referral from Miriam, which a different story for a different day, different topic for a different day. But, you know, Peter is just this awesome guy. And like, as we're getting to know each other, like I start to realize like he really loves spices. Like he wakes up every day and he's passionate about oregano, like things that we just like pour on our like. He's like, I love when someone doesn't know how to cook and they feel that they can cook because the spices brought the taste out. And it's like, it's never that simple, of course. You know, you still have to be able to cook a little bit. But that passion was something that I looked towards and I looked up to. And we had a goal, right? It was like whatever X amount of dollars that we wanted to hit by whatever date. And because everyone started buying their spices online. So we tripled that number, right? But then he never backed off of it, right? So it was always like, hey, you know, let's keep it at this. You know, I know it's going to go down a little bit, Rick, but let's keep it at this number. I was like, but the goal was this. Okay, but yeah, we'll keep it. Let's keep it this number. And we didn't back off, and we did everything and anything that we could to figure it out, right? And come Christmas, come birthdays, he's like, what should I send you? What should I send your family? And I'm like, dude, Peter, it's okay, man. I'll be a customer. You know, I love the spices that much. And actually, I'm still not used to the YouTube because it's reversed, but those are his spices right there. So like, I actually use those. That's why they're not all full. Actually, some of them are sealed because you know, for purposes of this, but I have about 4 or 5 more downstairs, and I think he's sending me another one right now. Like he's a friend, he's a client, and it's like to be able to work with somebody in that capacity and to see their passion for what they do. It's like they wake up, they do their routine, they do whatever, but then they get to a point where it's like, it's crazy when you love what you do. And that's something that you and I have talked about, right? And because I know what you did, like it was a job, right? I mean, we don't need to go into what it was, right? I mean, everyone knows, but
well, it wasn't a job. I loved it. But here's the thing about it though is loving what we do versus being happy.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
It's 2 different things, right?
Yeah.
Like it's 2 different things, and a lot of times, like even though people will say like I love this thing, I love what I do, but they're not happy.
Yeah.
And so Here's the reason why. I'm gonna go right for people that are wondering. Here's what's happening. If somebody likes what they do, that means in their mind they go, I like what I do. Here's the reason why. Let me go and name them. Here's my reason. Okay, these 5 reasons. That's why. These 10 reasons why. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm doing all this great work. But the happiness, the joy, the sense of peace, that's not in here. It doesn't matter if I go, I'm peaceful, and I feel like shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. There's an actual state of being that our body is experiencing.
Yeah.
And so therefore, we can say things in our mind, but what actually gets us to experience happiness, experience joy, it's what is actually playing in our mind on the subconscious level, number one, and also the way that our body feels, both things.
Yeah.
The problem is that people in their head, if they were to think, am I enjoying what I do? And let's say they are, because if the people aren't, I mean, they just need it. Let's say people are. Yeah. And so they'll go ahead and fire off, yes, I like it because of these reasons. But what they're not aware of is all the other language that's going on in their mind that directly is contradicting what they just said.
I do that every day.
They don't even register it. It's like
everyone does it
all the time, and like everything.
Yeah, but so everyone, like, I think our nature is to question ourselves, right? So with that being said, like, what did you do specifically to overcome that? Because even with myself, I question every decision I make, right? Because I know my decisions affect other people. So, like, what did you find apart from, like, obviously structure is a big part of it, right? But as an entrepreneur, CEO means chief everything officer. You're the janitor, you're the hall monitor, you're everything, right? So when you are in that position specifically, but also in any position, management, whatever, and you don't have predictability and anything can happen, like, how do you keep that calmness and that awareness to be able to execute on what you're saying? What you're saying, I totally understand, but how do you execute on that with the stresses of life or the things, the curveballs, let's call them, the curveballs that are being thrown your way? Because that's something even I struggle with every day, is the curveballs.
Right. Well, it's not just the curveballs; it's the regular balls as well.
Yeah, it's being consistent. Yeah.
So what do we do about that? Well, there's some basic training principles. There's some basic foundational principles that once someone fully understands why they're important, it's like knowing what gravity is. And once you understand gravity, or once you understand that fire is hot, you're going to avoid yourself from getting burned, and you're going to avoid breaking things because you understand how gravity works and how fire works. So there are certain principles about our mind and about our body that we have to understand. And once we understand it, then it's like, okay, now I know what I should do and what I shouldn't do.
Correct.
So I'll give you a simple one that pretty much everybody knows, but they're probably not doing. And that is to go and stop judgment.
Mm-hmm.
If they practice and accomplish that one thing, it would eliminate almost every single problem that they have, period. Just that one thing. And it's like, forget everything else, just that one thing. But when people look at it, they're judging so often, they're not even realizing that they're judging. So then what do? Someone goes, all right, you know what, Mike, that sounds great. Yes, I agree, but where the heck can I start?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone wants to know the start and the end so they can, plan.
Well, here's what you do to start. Right? You gotta start somewhere. Well, you start off by noticing the judgments that is said. We start off with the most obvious, right? We start off with the judgments that we are saying. And from there, we just notice, what are the things that I'm constantly saying that I'm judging? And then we just catch it. and just catch it. And when you do catch it, don't give yourself a hard time. Don't go, oh crap, and then beat yourself up. No, no, no. You just catch it and just be okay. Just know that it's a process. And so you catch it, like, oh, there it goes. I was judging. Okay, so let me go and stop that. I'm going to stop it. And then 5 seconds later, another judgment comes in. You catch it. And then at some point you realize, holy crap, I'm a judging machine. I'm judging nonstop.
Yeah.
Pretty much every 3 thoughts is a judge. Wow. Okay. So that is where I'm at. Okay. So now let me try to not judge. So then at some point they're going to start to, in their mind, then they're going to ask the next question, which is, okay, how do I not judge? How do I not judge? How do I go ahead and not give my personal opinion on it? And judgment, all it really is we give our personal opinion about it instead of looking at things for what it is. So I say here, I go, hey Rick, I love your hair. Freaking looks badass, awesome.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you, Mike.
Right? So that's a judgment.
No,
See,
yeah, of course, yeah, I get the concept.
Right? But that's a good judgment, but it's still a judgment, right? And so then, but I can say this, but here's another way to do the same thing. I go, hey Rick, you got short hair and it's brownish black.
Yeah, it's gonna make me feel different. Yeah, it's gonna change the
Oh,
whole.
feel different, but the thing is it true? Yes, it's true. Is it good or bad? Well, you can let someone else decide. Yeah. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad. I'm saying just what it is. And when we look at it, if we look at it as an entrepreneur, when we learn how to not judge, that will be such a big level up in business. Because then we take our opinion out. We just go, you know what? I don't like, forget the like and don't like. What are the numbers?
Yeah.
What are the customers saying? Forget about what you like about them and don't, no. What are they saying? What's actually happening?
Yeah.
And then now they go, oh, well, this is what's happening. Okay, well, if that's happening, then what should we do based on that's happening? Not based on what you like or don't like. Or just look at what is. Judgment can help with business big time. And most of the time, people, especially startups, they fail because they're putting so much, they're taking everything so personal that they're not looking at what is actually happening.
I was talking with my client about this at Panera Bread yesterday, right? I won't say with the client, but he's a great friend of mine. His products are behind me. I won't tell you which one, but good friend of mine and very solid business guy, right? Like been through it all. And he's like, Rick, I used to be like the nicest guy in the world. But then overnight, like I was like fired, because like as soon as someone would make a mistake, and he's like, I've learned how to be patient. But now I'm like, I'm too patient. So like no matter what you do in life, there's always a back and forth. I'll give you a good example, and you know where this is coming from. But so I just did the math on my calculator on the other screen. My dog and I, Snogo, you have Yogi, so you know what the husky life is like. So I have Snogo, right? So for over 2,000 days, because I got him when he was 8 months old, and he's 7 years old now. Just a few days, December 10th was when he turned 7. And over 2,000 days, I've lived with this dog, and I've never taken a vacation. So I can honestly, I've never left him for more than a few hours at a time, with a few exceptions to that, right? Over the 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. So 2,000 days of the same thing. I know where he poops. I know where he pees. Where he does his business. Let's say it like that. I know where he does his business, and I know where, if I'm gone for too long, he does his business to let me know, and it's pretty close to when I walk in. He gets me really good. But the other night, I let him go out to do his business, right? I know it's a weird example, but it's very important. I let him go out to do his business. He goes out, think he does his business. We come upstairs like we've done for 2,000 nights. We come upstairs, and I just set up the streaming room. He's not used to me walking into the other room. This used to be dedicated to something completely different. So I come into this room for 5 minutes. Honestly, I came in here to check on my ad campaign because I didn't want to overspend, and I wanted to change the CPM and get the most out of it, right? I just wanted to check it every couple hours. So I was like, all right, before I go to bed, before I fall asleep for 8 hours and the ads just run at this rate, let me just check on it. So that's all I did, literally 2 minutes. And when you talk about holy crap, or stepping in crap, I opened the door. I didn't smell anything. It was fresh on the floor. Apparently, he left me a fresh one. I wasn't wearing shoes. I wasn't wearing sandals. I wasn't wearing anything. And I just stepped into it. And it was like, you've already stepped in, like literally, like this really happened to me. And I'm freaking out, right? So I'm like, okay, this can't be, maybe it's a wet sock. Like, why would I have a wet sock? So I look down, I turn the lights on, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Didn't you just walk him?
Yes, that's the worst part about this whole story, right? But it was for 2,000 days. And I finally realized what it was. For 2,000 days, once we were in the room and the door was closed, that we were in the room. So me even leaving to go 5 feet away, I mean, he could have howled, he could have scratched it, he could have done anything else to notify me if he had to actually go. He didn't have to go. It was that I changed the routine on him, and I paid for it dearly.
Oh, yeah, you know, he's always got extra poo ready for you, just in case.
And he peed on the bed skirt too, so that was a whole nother thing. But what I realized with that was like, you can have the best routine and you can be consistent for more, you know, whether they say 3 weeks creates a habit, you can be consistent for 3 years, 6 years, 5 years. But the minute that you alter that, right, you alter your alignment, you alter everything about that situation. And while it was a simple mistake, I didn't look at it as a mistake. I'm like, okay, so let me give you a great example. Like, once I'm in the room, occasionally I'll close the door, go downstairs, and grab a bottle of water. Why is that different? Because he can hear the footsteps down the stairs. So when he didn't hear footsteps, I don't know if he was worried about me, what was going through his husky mind, or maybe he just wanted to make me step in his business, but who knows? But I changed the routine, and we had this routine for 2,000 plus days. And even just modifying it by that little bit, like, I learned my lesson quickly. I didn't go back to sleep. I'll put it like that. I actually was so disgusted. I cleaned that up, sprayed everything down, washed all my sheets. And by the time it was work time, right? So I vacuumed the entire house. I mean, Mike, I went in, man. When we talk about keeping a clean house, I went all the way in.
After you stepped on the poop?
Yeah, man. Like, I literally, like, yes.
It's not like you tracked it everywhere. I mean, you probably took off your sock.
No, but I was like, no, but you have to keep in mind, I had to spray the stuff, let it sit, 15 minutes for it. So I wanted to go back to sleep.
Was it on hard floors or was it on carpet? Oh, dang.
So yeah. I had to get the wet jet out. It was a full, listen, but what it taught me was, this dog is loyal and he'll do the same routine for 2,000 days. But the minute I alter that, even by what I think is negligible, and so, anyways, this brings us back. We talked about dog poop for a few minutes, but this brings us back to the point of, like, let's say somebody gets consistent, right? Because we're talking about New Year's resolutions right now. Somebody is super consistent for 3 weeks, and then they're getting to that point where they're going to drop off, right? And, like, for you specifically, like, I know you're someone that has, like, just, like, when it comes to making videos, you're consistent. When it comes to anything that you're doing, you're consistent. Laser focus and consistency. Those are your two best qualities, Mike. My opinion. But with that being said, like, how does somebody get past that 3-week threshold? Like, with whatever their goals are. Like, how does somebody keep and maintain it? Like, is it a balance? Is it stress relief? Like, because I know for me, like, I can do something for 3 weeks. Like, I'm not going to eat meat for 3 weeks. Fine. But then I'm like, steak, chicken. Like, by no means am I trying to be a vegetarian, but I'm just saying a lot of people will give up something for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But how does somebody make that lifestyle choice that lasts forever? Like, if you don't mind.
2 things. First one is support.
Yep. That's
support. They gotta have other people that want to do the same thing. They gotta have other people. If they're a lone ranger, they're the only person that's doing it, then they don't have any support. They're not doing it with anybody else. So therefore, if they go, I changed my mind, and nobody else is gonna get on them. They got no motivation. They got no inspiration. They don't got someone else going, hey, I just did that thing, whatever that thing could be, So they need this. They need some type of community support. It can be one person or it can be a group of people, but they need somebody other than themselves. The second thing is they got to have some type of foundational structure of that they can fall back on. Let's say if it's a diet. So somebody's on a diet, they're going to run into some challenges. Should I eat this? Shouldn't I eat this? Here's a quick scenario. What should I do? Someone's trying to go ahead and their goal is they want to go ahead and make a certain amount of dollars every single month. Okay, I'm running into this challenge. What should I do? People are going to run into challenges all the time, but they need to have somebody that they can depend on, or they need to have some type of foundational system that they can fall back on. If they can't fall back on something, either a person or a system, then they're stuck with this challenge, and that kills the momentum. And as we talked about, all it takes is that one day that momentum stops, and that now the momentum drops down. So their goal is to go ahead and continuously do it every single day. You know, what we do in our online group, because I have an online group to where I help people stay on track with working out every single day.
Yeah.
And whatever goals that they have. You know, we have really simple accountability systems.
Flow Tribe, yeah.
Yeah, Flow Tribe.
And people and men talk since we are live. I mean, again, this is the first video I'm doing, but plug yourself in, man. Like give people a little background, because I know what it is, but you know, for the average person, like it's something that I've done the flow workouts, but you know, even with Flow Tribe, like go ahead and like drop it.
It's really simple. It's like I've been training for over 2 decades, and I've trained a lot of people. And I was like, you know, I realized people, they need more than just to have a workout. It's more than just, hey, here's an app with a whole bunch of stuff. If it was really that simple, somebody can get online, they can find free workouts everywhere. It's not about what it is. It's not about what it is that people don't know what to do. It's about having the motivation to go ahead and get started and the accountability to continue. That's the hardest part. It's not the what to do, it's those two things. So I created this group, basically. I started off as a group, and I was like, I had no idea where it was really going to go. I just knew I'm going to go and just keep people motivated, just get people going. And I would go and train people before, and we have like these little groups that I started online, and it would just be one-on-one at first, just with different people. And it's like, I just told them, hey, send me a text. Send me a text when you get your workout done. Just let me know you did it. That's it, you know? And that eventually evolved into now we have this community online to where we have these little systems where everybody sends in a text when they did their practice, and then they share different progresses, they share their wins and their struggles. And sometimes the text comes in, sometimes there's a picture that comes with it, sometimes there's a video that comes with it. And then there's like a library of all these workouts and coaching videos and all this stuff now.
Yeah.
You know? The idea about it is people are getting results because they're motivated. They're getting results because they're doing it with a whole bunch of other people. And even myself, there'll be days I remember like I'll be too tired and I just don't feel like doing anything. And I know in my mind, I'm like, man, everybody is sending in their texts. Everybody's doing their workouts. You know, crap. Let me at least do 7 minutes like you talked about. So then what I do, I go ahead and do the practice. Sometimes I do the quick to time lapse, right? Like you sent in a whole bunch of those. I just do something just so I can go ahead and lead by example. Because I know in my mind, I got no excuse not to even do 7 minutes. So then because I'm trying to go and stay accountable for the group, they end up motivating me half the time. There's been countless occasions. So it works both ways.
Accountability, bro. It comes down to accountability. That's makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Sometimes the most effective things are the simplest. You know, simply just like, it's like people go and, you know, the best thing is just go find a workout buddy. If someone wanted to go get them work, just find a workout buddy, and then you have that partner, and then you guys go work out every single day. That's the simplest thing.
Yeah.
But especially right now in COVID time.
I did learn my lesson within the company. So I never call myself the CEO, the owner. Like that, those titles are irrelevant. Like it's very much like I'm fortunate to be able to work with the people I work with. I feel so blessed. And when I wake up, like I'm working with people, like if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Right. And I have that feeling every day where I'm in a room with people that are far smarter than me. So it's awesome. And so I have that blessing. But I learned this the hard way. So I actually am a habitual note taker, but sometimes the dog wants to go out, and like I'll be on a conference call and he'll be howling, like literally, singing the song of his people. And so I take him out, and one time I asked my colleague, I was like, hey, would you mind writing these notes? I don't want to miss anything. He's like, I'm not your note taker. I was like, no. Like, it's not like I don't expect you to do this normally. I'm walking the dog. Like, I don't, I'll be on mute. Like, and what I realized was like writing things down. Like, I see behind you is a whiteboard, right? It's the only thing I'm missing back here. Don't worry. I'll get it sorted out. This is version 1. Version 2 will have a whiteboard, but it's so amazing that when you write things, and I mean, so this is like my new little step. So I don't have a notepad. I have the important things, Mike. The important things, right? The cowboy hat, gotta have that, right? The fedora, the fake fedora from Party City. Necessary, Mike. Necessary. The fake gold chains, also necessary. And of course, super necessary. So, but if I don't write things down, right? Like even with this, so let me tell you how this all came about. I was like, man, my budget's $500, right? I'm gonna put together this little room and put some shelves up. It's like $50 and this and that. Man, $3,000 later, right? And there's still things you can even see. Whoops.
Is that a fish tank in the back?
Yes, it is, and there's a funny story. So like you can even see the holes in the wall. Actually, so my husky mug actually sits up there, which I should probably put back because it covers those 3 holes. So it was
you can't even see the holes until you pointed it out. I mean, there's like other stuff.
Like that, but that's how specific. And there's no fish in that tank. So, and that's another story for another day. I have 8 fish tanks, Mike. I have 7 active tanks. One doesn't have any fish, and the other one is a sick tank that, if a fish is getting beaten up or, because fish have teeth, man. They eat each other.
You have 8 fish tanks?
I have 8 fish tanks, yeah. Like this one's a 5-gallon. I have another 5-gallon that's my 3rd monitor in my other office. I have a 10-gallon, 2 beta tanks, a 39-gallon regular square or rectangle, and then I just got a 39-gallon in the living room. And then I have one other sick tank, and then I have, I think, one other tank besides that. So it comes out to like 7 or 8. And I have over 100 fish, easily.
Cichlids, or what type of fish you got?
So they're all different. So I have a tropical tank. I have a glow fish tank. The ones that glow. These guys, I had shrimp in here. These guys all died. And they died like immediately. And I cycled the water for 3 days. Like, I'm considered advanced. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, I've had my pleco, the little algae eater that you get that's this big. He's that big, bro. People are like, it's a shark. I mean, no, it's just an algae eater. They're like, what? And like, I've actually seen him try to eat the cichlids, like eat them. I'm like, this is nuts, man. I have to put little algae wafers in there because I keep my tanks so clean. That's the one thing about fish tanks people don't understand. The dirtier the filter, the cleaner the tank, because the bacteria is actually what kills it. It's nitrates, nitrites, ammonium. Like there's a lot. That's a whole nother video that we should get into. I'm definitely medium to advanced. I was gonna do salt water for this new tank. I've had cichlids for maybe 8 years. So that's like the highest level you're gonna get when PetSmart, like things like that. Like you'd have to be a specialty fish person after that. But I'm not gonna do salt water in my new tank. It's cycled for 2 weeks. I'm not gonna do salt water. What I'm gonna end up doing with that, Mike, is I'm going to there's freshwater eels, and you can have up to 3 or 4 in the tank that I have. So they're gonna like have their own caves and crevasses, and like I'll have eels, and then I'll have cool fish above, and I'm gonna really layer this tank. That's one thing that I've never been able to do. I've always just bought fish kind of like spontaneously, but I'm gonna actually layer it where I got my crustaceans, the crabs, and my little shrimps at the bottom.
You put some top swimmers. You can put like some arowanas.
No,
You know?
it's only 39 gallons, Mike. It's not that big. Arowanas get like 2 feet, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you can hang out the tank, Gus tail the tank, just like lounging like he's on the beach.
Yeah.
One day. And honestly, like I would love to have that level, but I think for now, I feel like I'm stepping up my game by getting like cichlids and eels. Eels are different; they're new for me. But I have a tropical tank. I have I guess technically, if you count the glowfish, I have 3 tropical tanks, 2 beta bowls, a cichlid tank that's 39 gallons, the one that's not being used, and the sick tank. So, and then
What type of cichlids do you have?
peacock cichlids. There's the bumblebee ones, the yellow, and they change colors so frequently, like it's crazy. Like, and honestly, it's all what you feed them. So, like, I feed them a mix of the. So I used to do flakes, but the flakes would always like crumble to the bottom.
Yeah.
So I got what they call crisps, and they like kind of float for a little longer so that they can all get whatever, and then they float like slowly down to the bottom. So I mix that, but I also do bloodworms and an actual cichlid blend, and I throw it in there frozen. It's kind of funny because if you've ever watched the fish get brain freeze, they like they kind of freeze up for a minute, and they keep going, like when you eat ice cream too quickly or something, and but it gives it time to dissolve, and it kind of spreads throughout the tank, and the bigger fish can go to the top, and it's still trickling down to the bottom. So I do a mix of both just to keep. But I'm telling you, getting them on bloodworms and the other stuff, it really helped with like their colors, like they just brightened up. I have one that I swear he's a green terror because he has like the kind of holographic green.
Yeah.
But if that's true, that he was in the wrong tank because he's a South America. If he is a green terror, he'd be a South American. They should not be in the tank with African cichlids. African cichlids and South American, they actually should not be in the same tank. But I don't know. He's also the biggest guy on the block. So maybe it just worked out that way, or maybe that's why my fish go belly up sometimes. But I haven't had really an incident in a while, which is good. But when there is an incident, like it's like half of a fish floating. It's so sad, man. I hate it. And like I'm emotional. People are like, dude, it's just a fish. Like flush it.
You talked about your fish. I remember you had betas. I remember you told me it was betas, but that was like a while ago. Now,
oh, dude, no. It's way deeper than that now, man. Like I have betas, I have cichlids, I have tropical. I've had them for a while, but they're never behind me. So this was like one of the things I really, really wanted to do. But I actually had I bought 5 ghost shrimp for this and then 10 for the one downstairs. And because I have them in there with the glowfish, which are non-aggressive at all, they went from like this big, bro. They're like this big. Like I have like shrimp that are like, you're like, oh my gosh, it's like a fish. Like it's that
shrimp ate the glowfish.
No, he didn't eat the glowfish, but they're like big, bro. Like they're huge.
Yeah, they're starting to look like crawfish. Little crawfishes in there.
Like I've never seen a shrimp this big. And I was actually gonna make this a shrimp tank, but I'm like, they want like $8 a piece for the little shrimps, and I'm like,
what?
Listen, man, I had shrimp. Like it's not $8 that matters, right?
No, you can get like 20 for $1 as a feeder.
Those shrimp, right? But they have designer shrimp now, Mike. They're the whole thing. They got the green ones and the blue ones. No, but they're different, Mike. You're just a fish tank, man. You want them to be colorful. So
they do get colorful. Get the ghost shrimps and let them grow, and they'll end up being colorful.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Now they're big enough where I can actually see them. I'm like, man, they must have had babies. I think this one has to be pregnant. I don't know. We'll have a whole fish nursery documentary. Maybe that'll be our next live. But anyways, so the shrimp have grown really big. But there's actually they actually make tanks and they sell them in PetSmart and other main retailers that it's like the new craze. Like people don't want goldfish anymore. Like, remember when you used to go to Carnival and you win a goldfish and give it to your girlfriend and their mom's like, no, that's another pet. We don't need another pet in this out. Like at least that's what I got. But so I could never, I'd always have to go with the stuffed animal option. instead of the live goldfish. Because, but goldfish are redundant, whatever. Like cichlids, totally different story. Shrimp, different story. But let me tell you what I did. So this was before they made the tanks for shrimp. And the way that it worked is shrimp are very tiny. They don't need a big tank. But it has to be tropical. It has to be warmed. It has to have the temperature thing and the heater. It has to have all those conditions. So either you're going to buy a 5-gallon tank for little shrimp, or they have like a little hangover thing that I bought. And what it did is it actually sucked water out of the main tank into this little tank for the shrimp to grow without getting eaten. Genius idea, right? And I had these like beautiful, they were called cherry shrimp. They were beautiful red shrimp, and they were growing, and every day I'd look at them and they got bigger. I was so excited because they were $8 a piece, and I had like 5 of them. $44. It was an investment, man. So I was so excited about it. But then what happened was they were so tiny and the filter was so strong, they got sucked through the filter eventually. And rest in peace to the cherry shrimp. So anyways, I'm not going to get into the shrimp thing quite yet. It's too risky. It's a volatile market, Mike. It's not something I'm willing to invest into.
All right.
But I know we have another call coming up, but well, dude, this is my first live, like amazing, man. And you made it that much easier. Like I was so nervous. You saw it. You knew me. I was a wreck last night. I was like, oh God, what am I going to say?
This is great, man. So I think big takeaways is number one, routines. Always have routines. Get your day started off right. Wake up your energy, wake up your mind, get everything clean slate so you can focus. And number two, if you have a husky, don't break your routine because your husky will poop outside and make your life, especially if you got really
crappy. It'll make your life crappy. No pun intended.
And number three, don't buy $8 gold shrimps. Go for $20.
They're actually 39 cents for the ghost shrimp, and now I only invest into ghost shrimp. I'm no longer
man, inflation. Back when I was growing up,
back in the day.
I'm gonna sound like the people like, oh, it used to be 39 cents a gallon for gasoline. And
I'm gonna send you the links, man. You should see it. They have some that are $20 for a little shrimp, man. They're designer shrimp, like they're like red with gold markings, like because they can crossbreed and stuff. Like it's like the new goldfish. So, anyways, but
hold on. So, a goldfish is one last thing on the fishes. Are they still $20 for $1 or what? For feeder fish?
Oh, feeder fish are super cheap. Yeah. Okay. They're still cheap. They haven't inflated in value.
Okay. Regular goldfishes, they actually, like the feeder fish, if you actually let them grow, they'll still get like pretty big. They'll be like,
oh yeah, they get big.
Yeah, they get a good size. They're just little feeder fish, but feed them just a little title. My friend.
That's at a different level of fish buying, because when people are buying goldfish, it's feeder fish. They have koi, which means they have they're wealthy. Like I'm not at that.
That's the trick. That's the trick, is to buy a whole bunch of feeders and just let them grow, and then once in a while drop a koi here and there. So this way you increase your rate of survival. Because if you're always going with koi, you're
who would have thunk that we got onto this topic? Who would have thought wow, like we're on feeder fish. This is like
all right, man. We're about 54 minutes in. So
yeah, no, it doesn't even seem like that long, and definitely this is awesome for my first live stream. I don't think we got above 8, but we did get to 8 concurrent users, so I'll like to see the numbers at the end. But no, man, it's just been a pleasure. I know we have another follow-up business call, but man, this has just been amazing, man, and thank you so much for helping me through this.
First live, awesome, man. Nice.
Yeah, I'll have fish next time though. Don't worry.
Yeah,
that's one thing I can upgrade.
All
and
right.
If you got any logos or you have anything for Flow Tribe that I can put up behind me, I would love to, even if you just send me the logo, I'll get a sticker made. I'd love to have it kind of right above. So I have my golf clubs. My grandfather recently passed away, and he got me into golf. So just every time I'm doing this video, I want to see those. But right above that, there's some. Sorry, it's weird. It's like, okay, that space. Yeah, that's it. I'm still not used to like, because everything's backwards, right? Because they're seeing it. It's first time, bro. So I'm getting better. I'll figure out how to point my fingers and stuff.
Yep.
Subscribe now, and I'm like, and then the subscribe button's like over there or something. Like I'm like, yeah, right there. They're like, no, it's right there. I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm not gonna spend the time to edit it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm happy to be here, launching off this first live. Good to see everybody.
Thank you guys so much for joining today. Please be sure to subscribe. Mike, go ahead and shout out your channels, your YouTube, your Instagram, so people can catch up with you, and then I'll subscribe to me.
Mike Chang on YouTube. Just look me up. Name's got Mike Chang on there, and Mike Chang Official on Instagram. And if you want to join the training group and go train with me and dive into how to become happier and all that, flowtribe.us. That's it.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Mike. Talk to you guys then.
Yep.
Bye, guys.